Hello and welcome everyone to the Real Offside podcast with me, Eddie Duah.
With me, Zane Groves.
And me, Ricky Grover.
And then three footballers here. Three footballers in this side.
That's debatable.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to actually give you guys a nice little build-up before Les ruined
Do
it.
it then.
Well, we've got a couple
you've
of...
got time. Go on.
Have we?
Yeah, you've got time.
Go on, carry on.
Couple of ex-superstars in here in the building. I like the way Lomas looking over his shoulder. We got Steve Lomas, ex-Man City, West Ham midfielder. Welcome.
Very well, thank you.
And also to my right, looking directly in front of me, Steve Sedgley.
Good evening.
Spurs midfielder
And sub.
Are you sure?
and sub.
Was he not centre half?
Did he play?
I play midfield.
Was
Was
he
he
not
a better centre half or better midfielder?
Yeah. He was better centre half when I played against him.
Better sub, I think.
Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
You all right?
Good.
Good. Sedge, let's start off
Hold
with
on a
you.
minute. You can't forget the man.
Oh, he's already kicked in.
Rob
Don't
Lee.
worry about Rob
Nah,
Lee.
he just forgets me now.
No.
Well, we've got proper
Ricky
stars
just
in it,
forgets
we?
me.
We've got proper
he's like,
stars.
you know he's like Rick.
Got
Oh,
rid of
Ledge, how
juice.
you
You know
doing,
he's
mate?
like.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm
He's
very
here,
good.
he's
Yeah.
How was the food you saved me? Was it nice?
Yeah, it was good. Me
He's
and
having
Ricky.
a breather from the food.
He is, isn't he?
Me and Ricky had a little bit of that. It was good.
Yeah.
A little bit. I think I've stronged it with a squid. I'm in a bit of trouble here.
You went a bit heavy on it.
Oh, I went a bit heavy and I started dipping it in that curry sauce. I don't know whatever was in that, but it's a bit lethal.
Oh, you've not had that MS.
Yeah, MSG. I've had the MSG.
Oh,
So
we're
back on the
it could
MSG
all-
line.
Yeah, it could all go wrong in a minute. Right, come on, let's
I
talk
see in your
about,
eyes. I see in
talk
your
about
eyes.
football and all that
Yeah,
nonsense.
talk about football. Well, guys, welcome to the show. Sedge, let's start with you, my friend. I haven't seen you for years.
10 years, have we said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Earlier on?
Yeah,
a long while.
even more.
Didn't you say Ed was
Lucky
the
you,
worst
Ed.
football player you ever had?
No, he wasn't. He's a great lad. Yeah.
Thank you. Some of these
don't
guys don't
say
believe
that.
it.
He did fantastic well for me because I lost my job.
Didn't he? No, I said, so what's life been like for you since, obviously, I
God, how long we got?
in the managerial career?
That
Just
was,
briefly.
that was my first and only time of management, really. Well, tell a lie, I was at Luton with Mike Newell, and
Yes.
he got the sack, and I don't think I've ever told this story, and Brian Steen told me on a Friday, he was playing Ipswich, my old club,
Yeah.
on a Saturday, and he said, look, we've got a good chance of me taking a job, I'd like to be my number two. He said, we're going to go and meet a player in the hotel in Luton called Israak, and Paul Jules was friends of Mike Newell. He's recommended him. So I went and met him, and Steenie interviewed him and said, tell me a bit about yourself. He said, well, I can score with both feet. I can score with my head. I'm looking forward to playing. So he went, well, do for me.
Yeah.
So we played the next day. He put him off after 10 minutes.
What did he actually do for him?
Nothing. And we lost the game 1-0.
Yeah.
And then Steve said, look, I'm going to get the job tonight. So left Sunday. I got a phone call. Steenie called me Monday. He said, go to the ground. I'll be up in a minute. Organised training. I got there and Kevin Blackwell was there.
Oh, wow.
And I rang Steenie and said, Kevin Blackwell's here. And Steenie went, yeah, good one. I said, no, Steenie, Kevin Blackwell's here.
right.
He didn't believe me, so he turned up. So as he turned up, Kevin Blackwell's here. He said, you know who's fit for training? I went, not really, it's not really my job. So anyway, I called a meeting. Steenie was a little bit shocked about it. We had a meeting on a Tuesday, and Kevin Blackwell said, look, you'll be with the first team. Steenie said he'd like you to come along. You've been here a little while and that. I was gone the next day. So I had one game, one defeat.
Not a bad record.
No.
To be fair, good judge, Kevin Blackwell. Isn't he?
Yeah, oh, well, there you go. I didn't want to say, but yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, Sedge, Enfield boy, find your way up Coventry.
Someone asked me the other night, when I was 13, I was doing like the schoolboy football they're doing now, so you do like a Tuesday or Thursday.
Sure.
I actually played a game at Hale End, which is where the Arsenal Academy is right now.
It still is, yeah?
It's still there, isn't it?
Yeah, still
And there was obviously a London scout for Coventry boys. I got spotted there, went up there, so I did like a week school holidays, 2 weeks, Easter, whatever. Come to leaving school, and Tottenham didn't offer me a contract. They said you can come back and train.
So you're still at Spurs at the time?
Yeah, so
No, he longs back,
oh, at least I'm being honest. Let's hear him in a minute. And then it come to leaving there, so my dad said, well, you've got to go there, you've got a 2-year deal. Didn't really want to go there, being a Spurs fan, and went up there. The U2 manager was John Sillett, who suddenly became, after a year, became the caretaker manager. And then in '87, the second game of the season, first game of the season, he put me in the squad against West Ham. I think they come third that year. Yeah. And the second game, he called me in and we were playing Arsenal at home. He said, "You playing?"
Wow.
And then, I played about 40 games that year, but never played in the final.
No, that's right. I was going to ask you that. You was a sub, right?
That's right. Yeah, I was sub sort of. I played one of the games and I was sub for most of the cup tie. So I don't know whether he sort of kept it as superstitious, but it seemed like that. And I got ribbed because we beat He's probably still on the YouTube now. We beat Leeds, I think, 3-2 at Sheffield Wednesday.
Right.
And right at the final whistle, it went straight to the manager, and I was there hugging him, and all the lads were going, "You arse licker." It worked.
Yeah. How old was you at this time?
18.
Wow. So you had to do what you had to do to get in.
I think it was more than arse licking he was doing.
Oh, you might have a claim, guys.
You should be in court, shouldn't you?
I'm telling you. So you had a bit of time at Coventry, then obviously your boyhood club comes back in for you. What was that like?
Yeah, it was on. It was sort of talked about before, and there was a few other clubs interested, and round about the Easter time before I was due to go, they told me they'd done a deal.
Yeah.
And then I had a chance to go to Derby when Robert Maxwell was there, and I probably could have had more money at the time, but I wanted to go back to Tottenham. And John
For the love of football, yeah.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And then John said to me, "Look, we're not going to play you. The deal's been done. You're not going to play for from Easter to the end of season."
Yeah.
So I went back home for a couple of weeks, and then he called me back and said, "You're playing." I think I put on about half a stone, which just about finished me off at Coventry. But yeah, I went there, and that was where I wanted to go, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. Good to go back home.
So good memories?
Loads of it.
Lots of mischief.
I mean, you played with some top players, didn't you?
Yeah, I was lucky. Yeah, I mean,
Lineker, Gascoigne.
when I joined the year, Lineker signed, and they sold Chris Wilder that year to Marseille, and I can't remember, was it 5 million or?
Yeah.
And he had a.
So they had
lot of money
Wardle,
then.
and then the replacement was Sedge.
Well, that was in the sum because he was brilliant that year, wasn't it? And they said they've signed Gary Lineker and they've sold Chris Waddle to Marseille and they've replaced him with Steve Sedgley. Wow. And I'd had a long throw, so I was ruined straight away.
Delap had a good career out of that, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
He did all right.
Yeah, so it was good then. And then obviously I left after 5 years to go to Ipswich. Which I think it was badly advised at the time. I played every game that year. It's Ozzy Ardiles come in. He said, "You're not my sort of player. I'm going to look to move you on." A few injuries at the start of the season. I think it's the year that Sol Campbell come through. He was playing left back at the time.
Yeah, they put him anywhere, innit, just to get him in the side, didn't they?
Do you know what? It's bad though. I'd never even heard of him, and he'd come up through the ranks.
Yeah.
I think he played England youth.
Yeah.
He got in the first team. Newcastle, right?
Yeah, I remember playing.
Was he playing again?
Yeah, left back he was. I was right winger.
Do you not remember?
How did that go for you, Ledge?
Not well. Let me tell you, not well.
His face, it didn't go well at
Not
all,
well.
did it?
But he was
Not
sort of
well.
unheard of. But he was
was
a
a
big
force,
boy.
wasn't he?
Yeah, forced in. And I managed to play every game. Then Gary Mabbutt got done by John Fashional.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can't say he got done, but it was a bad injury.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And I
Allegedly,
become
yeah.
captain, but it was at a time I think when Teddy had joined and he was on fire. We was winning games 5-3, 5-2.
Yeah.
Got to Christmas, he got injured, and it all sort of went a bit wonky. And I think we stayed up about 2 games to go at Oldham away.
Yeah.
And I'd negotiated a deal near Christmas time with Mr. Sugar, and then when it come to the summer, he said, "No, that one's not on the table anymore."
So just go back to that, negotiating that contract with Mr. Sugar. So back in the day, you never had any agents really to go in for did you prefer to do it yourself?
No, I did. I can't remember. I did have a. Do you know what? I don't think I'd ever had it. No, I did it myself. And I got offered, and I should have signed it really because it was better than what I had.
Sure.
And it wasn't far away from what I wanted. And someone said, "No, hold on a bit." And then the summer it was like nowhere near what it was, and I still didn't want to leave. I ended up playing every game that year, which was ridiculous for someone who said they wanted me to go, and he wanted me to stay. And then John Lyle, who used to be at Tottenham as a European scout after he got sacked at West Ham, he went to Ipswich the year before and kept him up, but he kept ringing me, and in the end he offered me something that was a lot more money I was getting, and he went, but as soon as I went it was a nightmare.
Yeah, so you went for the money.
Lure of the money.
No, not saying that, no.
No,
I went for
you're
John
not
Lyle.
saying that. So obviously, being at Spurs at the time, you went there. You just mentioned now you signed with Lineker. Obviously, was Gazza there when you was there?
Yeah, I knew Gazza from. I don't think. Did you play under 20 on Robert Gazza? I'd known him for about a year before that.
Right.
And I'd met him when he went there, so.
So what was that like, relationship, Gazza and Steve Sedgley? That must have been a great partnership.
Gazza was a sensible one.
disastrous.
He was a sensible one.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Larry, yeah.
No, there was I think we're all being 21,
Which one
22.
was a sensible
There was
one?
enough there, wasn't there? It was Paul Walsh, Mitchell Thomas, Paul Stewart.
Monks
Monks,
Monks
Monks,
was there,
yeah. Say no more, yeah. So it was just mad, wasn't it? Someone said, Paul Walsh said, that it was like one flew over the cuckoo's nest and Gazza was Jack Nicholson.
Can you imagine some of the stuff you guys used to get up to and talk about? That can never happen now, could it?
I don't think they'd do it, no. And do you know what? Why would they? Because they've got such a good chance, haven't they, to be fit and healthy for 4 or 5 years and make himself a decent living, innit?
Fortune.
Yeah, just play
But would
football.
A decent living.
Decent.
Fortune.
But would I change it? No.
No.
Not for the laughs I've had, really, because you're still sitting here talking about them now.
Yeah.
Good memories, isn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
As you know, I don't know much about football, so I'm going to ask you, other Steve, I'm coming in now.
Yeah.
How much has it changed? Yeah, I'm going to talk my language now. How much has it changed pound notes?
Well, he speaks East London.
Well, I think you're
Six
looking at it
short.
around the time, the late 90s.
Yeah.
I reckon a decent wage was 30 grand a week. That was top.
Okay.
That was the likes of the Shearers,
Rob
the
Lees.
Caniles. Nah, Rob could be.
I just missed that.
He could be as much as Shearer.
Yeah.
But that was the top wages at the time. When
Yeah.
you're looking at now, they're 500 grand a week.
That's
Come
crazy,
Come
isn't
on,
it?
£2
That's
million
crazy.
pound a month.
So
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was about to say the
what's your
same
thoughts
thing.
about that?
When you came through City, okay, start with this. When you came through City as a kid, did you ever envision they'll become the force they have become, especially having Man United across the road?
Listen, listen. We were the paupers, weren't we?
Yeah.
Really, Man United had the amount of money, and City was the big youth policy at the time. And then when Sir Alex took over, he was looking and thinking, well, how comes Man City's breeding all these players? And then that's when the Beckhams, the Butts, the Nevilles came through.
Class of '92.
The class of '92, Giggsy, because Giggsy was actually at Man City. He
Was
was
he?
signed as a schoolboy with me. And he was at Man City, and that was the first thing that Alex Ferguson did. He went and allegedly offered his mum a house, and and that was it then, and everything. So obviously then, Ryan went to Man United. But I just think, listen, for me, it's just went obscene. I'm all for the lads making money.
Sure.
But it's now ridiculous.
It's gone a bit ridiculous,
And I
hasn't it?
think it's the affinity with the fans and that. Listen, I think why we enjoyed it, and you look at the 80s, 90s, and possibly even the 70s, 2000s, that's why all the lads go on the golf trips together, and we all
sure.
have the same, we're all around the same,
bonding.
Obviously, you've got the likes of Shearer.
Be
and
careful
people like
because Rob
that.
starts getting welling up when
Yeah.
he starts talking about
But-
it. Gets a bit
missing it.
tearful. Yeah, go on.
But I think, we're all the same thing, but
Yeah.
nowadays, that's why I think all these golf trips that we go on in another 20 years will be a thing of the past, because the boys just ain't interested anymore.
No.
It's a different era. They're all
To
in
be honest, Owen,
Obviously, like, you was a manager though. So did you actually, when you saw people's contracts, did you go, fuck me, how the fuck did he get that?
Yeah, well, how was that transition like for you? Obviously,
It's very hard at Millwall because obviously I'm looking at people like Danny Shitty on 10 grand a week, and the guys that I reckon at 42, I was quicker than him.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's funny you should say that. I saw
And
Danny
then
Shitty
he
the other
he
day.
had the audacity to come in to me, goes, Gaffer, I think we need to play a high line. I'm like thinking, Danny, the highest you can get is the 6-yard box. You still get beaten in behind.
But that's how football's changed, isn't it? Because someone like him, obviously, he went on and had a great career.
Yeah.
Seriously, I know Danny. And,
Listen, Danny's a great guy, but for him to be on 10
That
grand
level,
a week
yeah.
at 34 when he's
At
on his
Millwall.
way down is unbelievable.
But it's worse than that now, isn't it, I suppose?
It's not. Listen, it is. It's all. I think at the top level, it's relative. I think when you're looking at people in League One on 6 and 7 grand a week, you're thinking, come on, you're in the third. You're in the third division.
Yeah.
On 300 grand a week. Sorry, 300 grand a year.
Yeah.
That's massive money.
Same as you did. When we all here, when we started playing football, you never thought about the money, did you?
No.
I grew up watching Swap Shop and FA Cup final because you want to be a footballer, innit?
Jim will fix it.
I don't want to
Stevie used to love Jim will fix it. There you mate. He loved it.
I've seen the string vest and everything. You know what I mean?
I've got a Blue Peter badge.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you don't play for the money when
No.
you start off, do you? But as it evolves, you do. But I'm not so sure it's the same now. I think a lot of parents push their kids because it's the way out for people.
No,
isn't it?
I think you're right. You're right in that. And I said on the show many times before, especially having a young lad, 7-year-old that's now coming into the game. And when I take in football, I sit in the background and I watch like the parents and some of the parents, the pressures that they put on the kid. And the kid can't play football for looking up at mum and dad, seeing if they're doing something
But it's
right.
a way out from, isn't it?
And it's a way out because obviously...
If you live in the flats and your kids can play football,
Well,
you
this
look,
is it,
you look
Rick.
at it like a cash cow. It's a different ball game. I do think it is a bit obscene. You're talking about that Danny Gazer getting 10 grand a week. That's proper peanuts now. Would that
Yeah.
be 10 grand a week?
That's it, but
It's all relative, yeah.
Peanuts. That's
crazy.
travel expenses now, isn't it?
That's
You know what I mean?
it's insanity, isn't
But
it?
when
Isn't it?
you're looking at 500
What was it? What was
grand
it I
a
read
week?
the other day about Firmino
500
for an
grand.
assist? He got 85 grand for an assist.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you believe that though? Was that would
assist-
that be in a contract or not?
I got an assist from Philip Albert when he chipped the keeper.
Now, what we're
Is that an assist?
talking about is wages per assist.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
what we're
okay.
They're breaking it down in what, relative terms. You know what I mean?
An assist is lay a ball off so someone scores a goal,
Yeah,
right?
so I lay off someone, he beats
So
five
if you
players.
pass it to Rob and Rob scores, that's it.
That's an
So
assist.
I'm up for it. I'm up for it. I'll take a tenner.
Do you think in management though, Lomi, do you think that's a big problem? Like you've got if Sanchez had gone to Man City, you've got De Bruyne on 250 grand a week, and you're signing Sanchez for 505,000 quid a week.
I think it is in terms of looking at different situations. You're looking at Man City, the flying as it is, looking at Sanchez coming in. Not that the sell-on's a big problem, but I think you're right. Him coming in on 500 grand a week, now Bruno's going to go, well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I'm the best player in the league.
Yeah.
You're giving him that. You've got to do that. Then if you re-sign Aguero, then you've got to do that as well. And I think he looked at it and thought, 29, Sanchez, not that sort of money. And I think Sanchez knew what he was doing because he was bringing Man City into the equation because he knew Man United were desperate for him because
Of course.
at that situation they were slipping, weren't they?
I mean, you play with some great players, but is anybody as a good passer with the ball as De Bruyne in the Premier League history?
I think there's been loads, isn't there?
Scholes was, I think
player,
Scholes was
wasn't
up
he?
there probably. But
Michael Carrick in
Beckham
terms
was
of him.
good. Carrick, yeah.
I think the eye of a needle pass, what we're talking about is De Bruyne, the
Yeah.
eye of a needle pass. I was lucky to play with two people that had that in the locker. Not at the same level, played the same, but Al Berkovic had that.
Yeah, he was a player,
That
wasn't he?
little slip pass that he could feed people through. Georgie Kinkladze, another one that had that little reverse pass with eyes. And I think that's the difference between being a good passer and what you're saying is.
But they're also playing in a great team with great movement, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which
Come on.
He's a
You
great
can't,
player.
you can't say, listen, at the end of the
No,
day, you
but
could put De Bruyne in Darlington and he'd fucking probably get
So, Sedge, let me
Let me
ask you this. What Lowy just said just now in terms of, the point that Zane brought up with Sanchez going to Manchester United earning 500 grand a week. Your club, Spurs, obviously you got Harry Kane, who's the best striker in Europe right now, okay? Yeah. He's going to be up for a new contract because he sees what Sanchez is getting and he sees what these other players, rightly so, maybe lesser strikers than him, Lowy. So he might turn around and say, well, you know what, Daniel? I need to be up in that realm.
Of course,
Do they give it to him? Because if they do,
you know what? I would.
everybody else comes in.
But Tottenham's a different animal, isn't it? Because
You leave,
you've
he's
got
not weighing that out, is he?
I don't think so. We spoke about it earlier on, and I've heard their wages are nowhere near what the big boys are getting.
I think they'll give him whatever he wants.
I would give him 250 grand a week to go into the new stadium because that's what it's about. For Tottenham to step in that new stadium in the Champions League is everything. And for Pochettino, what he's done, I think he's built a great team spirit with a great lot of players. But
I
like
think
we
then,
said,
listen, the
it
question...
lasts so long, wouldn't it?
But the question is, Stevie, then he has to... Toby Alderweireld reportedly on 50 grand a week. He's got to then...
Danny Rose on 60 grand a week.
He's got to take him to 150. Then it's a different ball game. But listen, but that being said, the new stadium then generates more money. So,
so I think at Man City, that's that sort of club. They bring in players. One's on 200 grand a week. One might come at 300 grand a week. And that dressing room probably accepts that a bit better than what a close...
Why? Because of their culture there.
Probably, I think that's how they are. But
Sedge, would you not say this then? Would you not say, if Tottenham's never had that culture that rightly said, Ledger's always said this, that Tottenham don't and never pay that type of money. I know players that's in that club now earning what is big money, but for them, on a grand scheme of things, they feel they can do better.
Yeah.
So when does that bubble burst at Tottenham where Daniel Levy has to be pay players that money because if not, they'll go to
hasn't happened
Man
yet,
United.
is it? So, but you talk about Harry Kane. I think he's the one he's your pinnacle of that club at the minute. They've got.
He's that club at the moment, isn't he?
He's the only one they want to lose.
Yeah, and he's got
anyone else, they'll replace him.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
Anybody
So you think they can lose Toby as well?
Everybody.
Do you know what? I would have said no, right, when I watched him last season, and I couldn't wait for him to come back. And then you see tonight that they're saying speculation he could go and his hamstring injury, perhaps they are looking after him. But do you know what? I looked at Sanchez and
He looks a player as well, doesn't he?
well, I didn't. Yeah, he's come on a lot, and he's still raw, and he's not as good as Alderweireld's places. But do you know what? He's done a good job. So maybe they're thinking, do you know what? Let him
If we
go,
do lose
get a
him.
lot of money for him. You don't know what they're going to do. A player swap? Do you don't know?
But I think,
Yeah.
are you not on the slippery slope? Because at the end of the day, this is the big game. Can Tottenham go to the next level?
Yeah.
See,
this is what I think, Lowe. Yeah,
you know
I
what I'm
agree.
saying? And you look at Arsenal as a prime example for me, is you keep going backwards, not staying with the rest, you're
Not
going
staying
to go
with the pack.
backwards. You're not staying with the pack. And
Tottenham have overachieved, haven't they, from where they are? With their budget,
Massively.
they've overachieved.
100%.
Massively. They've
So-
overachieved.
Harry Kane,
Do you
though.
think that's why they beat Arsenal at the weekend, though, when you talk about all the players? Because Spurs have got a nucleus of quite a few English players, and they're up for it. They realise the
I
importance
think they're all
of the
hungry.
North,
I think
the
you
North
have to,
London
I think you
derby.
have to
and,
give the credit to the manager.
and
Sorry
the
to
Arsenal
blame.
players don't. They don't care, do they, some of them?
Do you know what? When I look back a few years ago, when he come in, he had it was the back at Kabul, wasn't he?
Yep.
People like was doing
Yep.
was okay. He had that Wimmer. There was another one who went, wasn't there? And he suddenly got them out, and he got this. He got first thing he did for me, and which is a non-negotiable as a footballer. He got them all fit. I mean,
Yeah.
you think that most footballers want to get fit themselves, but
Sure.
there are players who don't. So he got them extra fit and motivated. So he had hungry players, and he brought in players who added each year, and you know. It's all right, people saying you've got to go and buy this player, but he's got to be better than what you've got,
Sure.
and he's got to add to your squad needs. I think he's done a bit of a great team, but I think coming to that new stadium,
I think it gets to a
eventually he's got
level, doesn't it? It gets
he's
to a
got win
level, and
something,
then
isn't
do
he?
you kick on
Yeah.
or do you not? And I think that's the big issue. You know, he's got to, the elephant in the room, he's got to give Harry, for me, 250, 300.
Yeah.
You know, and the rest of the lads, hopefully they accept.
But how would that happen?
Yeah.
You three have played at the highest level. And I know, Ledge, I'll ask you this question all the time, and you know Shearer is Shearer. No one ain't never going to top him.
Yeah,
but
he's-
for the rest of the
he's
supporting cast, you
he's
want
the
that.
same. Yeah,
you
but
want some money.
You should know that. You know who's going to get more money.
Yeah, you accept it, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Except
yeah.
the goal
I-
scorer scoring 30,
Yeah.
45 goals a week to a
Sure.
defender. That's
I'd be embarrassed going this. I want the same as Harry Kane.
Do you remember the other year when?
yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
when Tevez, when he was causing a load of trouble in Man City the other year, and you come back and he said, "How can they bring him back?" But do you know what? As a footballer, the more really, unless he's a real arsehole,
Yeah.
you want the best players in your team because it makes your job easy,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
of
So,
course it does.
as me, I'll be going, "Oh yeah, I don't care if Gaz is earning 3 times
Yeah.
what you make. I can ride on that." Or Lineker,
Yeah.
you knew that.
And it
they
helps
might-
your profile as well as a manager.
Of course, yeah. 'Cause, well, I'm a prime example because the minute I left, I went to Ipswich, and now I was meant to be one of the better players, and it was tough.
It was
Listen,
tough.
but it's like look at it as a team from the forward line, they
Sure.
get the most.
And he just
then
works his way down.
And then it goes back. But unfortunately, in this era, you have the unexpected people like going to Liverpool on £75 million,
Yeah.
and that's because they're so desperate for a centre half. But that's the laws of it, isn't it? People that make game changing moments, strikers,
And I think-
assists.
Yeah, and you only have to look at
that.
the North London derby at the weekend, and I think Harry had about 2 or 3 chances, and he put one of them away, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I think we look at Lacazette. Obviously, being an Arsenal fan that I am, you look at Lacazette, and when he had that chance, he just never looked confident. I mean, Harry took one on the volley from Trippier. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he took one on the volley about 18 yards out. There's no doubt he was going to lace
was
it.
really-
For him to not
quiet
be
during that
playing,
game, Ed.
for him to not
Yeah.
be starting, he says his own story, didn't he? 'Cause
Sure.
but he looked good when he first come. I've had a few friends who watched him for a while, and they said he's not really up for it for the first half hour. And I watched him a few times. You think, yeah, maybe he's not. And that's probably why he's not starting it. And he's come on.
You don't get much for
full of
50 million, do you?
Don't get much for 50 million. these- So, Lowy, how would you
That's
handle that?
crazy, isn't it?
Obviously, how would you handle that? You've been in
He'd
the
shout at
manager.
him and scream at him and beat him up.
Listen,
I don't think you can ask him. Hasn't he got one job? Not me. He's got a worse win ratio than me.
I got to Europe twice, Sedge, twice more than you as a player, I might add. But no, listen, it's very difficult. And obviously, the level I've managed at, it's lesser, so it's easier to deal with. I was in Scotland where the boys were on £1,500 a week.
Yeah.
They're motivated to play because of their appearance.
Sure. They need that money to survive,
Appearance
right?
and their bonus. A bit like when we started out, that was a big part
Yeah,
of your wages.
appearance,
You know, to play on a Saturday and to
Yeah.
win could almost be 40% more
Sure.
than your actual basic. Nowadays, it's very difficult. You've got to motivate them in different ways in terms of trying to cajole them. But I'm with him. And when I looked at Lacazette when he first came, I thought, yeah, he's got proper good movement. I watched him again. He didn't look bothered.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
He-
you're talking
yeah.
about a North London derby. You're looking at the Arsenal fans are used to people like Thierry Henry,
Yeah.
Ian Wright,
Yeah.
who never stopped
Tony
working.
Adams, that
You know what I
it
mean?
means something to them.
It means something to him. So it must be so disheartening if you're an Arsenal fan. You
Yeah.
know, to watch that North London derby, you didn't lay a glove on them.
No, and I'll tell you what was really interesting as well. When we watched that game, right, at the end, Jack Wilshere and I think, what's his name? Lamella had a little
yeah.
spat. And all the Arsenal boys
We're
just...
shaking hands. They're all
Yeah.
shaking
They
hands.
just left him to it, like, on you sort him out. Before, you'd have thought, you know what, North London derby, let's have it. And I think that told me a massive, massive story about where Arsenal is. And the Spurs boys just look like, you know what, look at him, you just leave him to it.
But I think that's happened over
Great
years
day, weren't
because
it?
people used to say Tottenham Arsenal for me was like my friends and my mum, dad, and my wife will be upstairs. So straight after the game, you'd go up to the bar and see your family or friends, wouldn't you? And it's
Sure.
win, lose or draw, and then you get kicked out at 7 o'clock. But they don't come up, and I don't think it's their fault some of the foreign players because they don't know the culture, do they?
Yeah.
Unless they
But
get
is that
player
down
who
to a
kno-
manager to install that culture in the
Well,
player?
I've heard stories that Man United used to take players round, didn't they? Bobby Charlton used to tell the players the history of the club and integrate
very
into
true.
them. But I don't think that certainly didn't happen at Tottenham for a while. And I think he's got a group now who are hungry and perhaps know a bit more about it. But some of the foreign players don't know. It's like me going abroad. Would you know the history of the club? Would you go upstairs and have a drink with people you didn't know?
My biggest problem with football, and I'm not a football man. I know you're a West Ham man. That's good enough for me. I'll take that. So you're going to be all right. I've got my eye on you, Steve.
You got to watch it.
But what I was going to say to you, the big thing that stands out for me is it's become all about the money. Yeah. So wouldn't it be a much fairer playing field if each team in the Premiership got, I don't know,
Some sort of salary cap.
200 million to play with each. Just use that as a figure.
Bit look like they do in the MLS in America. They got a wage
salary cap,
structure.
yeah.
So you got a structure, and not only that for buying players, because really it's all about who's got the most is going to be up the top, and who's struggling the most. I know now and then, Leicester done it. Now and then the tables can turn, and it's fantastic when you see that. I'm not obviously not a big Tottenham fan, but Tottenham's doing fantastic. As we're saying, on a smaller budget. But to make it really interesting, I wonder what would happen if they went right next season. This is your amount you've got to play with. This is thing every team.
But I thought they were meant to be there.
Well, this is what I was about to say. With a fair play with.
Yeah, but it's 60% of the turnover. So if your turnover was something like
quid.
Man United,
Yeah.
where it's mega, you've got on a fair advantage. Somewhere like Man City
Paris Saint-Germain as well.
have toyed with the rules a bit in terms of naming the stadium and injecting more money. So there's been ways and means where they've got around it. But ultimately, if you've got the biggest turnover, 60% of the biggest turnover normally.
So then it's still not. It's just a slippery way. It's a bit of skullduggery going on there, really. Because
Unless you say to everybody, listen, you've got 200 million in wages, and that's it.
That's it.
And we'll start from afresh.
And would you like to see that as footballers, as ex-players? Would you like to see that?
I'm sure they'll find a way around it, wouldn't they? Somehow, wouldn't they?
Yeah, always.
There's always going to be. It's always going to. It's corrupt. It's like everything.
Yeah.
I come from the boxing world, and it's double corrupt.
Yeah.
I think.
A few dives
I think
in
the
that,
world's corrupt, isn't it?
A few dives in there.
Somebody said he had
I bet you've never taken a dive, have you?
Oh no.
Somebody said he had a sponsorship on the shoes. He went
I haven't heard that before. It's I'm going to put some handles on his shorts. Don't worry about that.
Mind you, Sedge was talking about Sedge had a bit of boxing.
Oh, he done a bit, didn't you?
Done a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, well,
You done a bit, didn't you? Come off the bench and got gloved up, didn't you? What happened there?
We had crikey, it was Tottenham Chelsea many years ago. It was Mickey Hazard versus Clive Walker, which was like something out of Wizard of Oz, like
It's like a dwarf. Fighting dwarfs, isn't it?
Yeah. Kerry Dixon against Graham Roberts, and Kerry Dixon's a bit of a lump, but his head guard fell off over his eyes, and Robbo hit him a couple of times, and then kept running around the ring. And that was all over. And then I fought my mate David Speed, who was really much smaller than me, but I don't fight, and he likes to fight, and it all went wrong. Yeah, but wouldn't do it again. Wouldn't do it again. No.
You wouldn't do it again, no?
No, not my age. No, not 49.
All right then.
No, so we can't set that up then, no?
No.
No, that's why I got out of one quick.
So right, just tonight's games. We're going to go obviously do a little bit later on, but Lowy, Man City Champions League back in there. I heard rumours that Sane may be starting today.
I think you put him on the bench. I don't think he'll start.
Right. Do you see City going all the way to and winning it?
Well, listen, they've got a great chance, a great draw. Basel, not bad at home, but you think if they keep it tight, they're going to do it at Man City in terms of what talent they've got going forward. And Jesus is not far away as well. He's 2 weeks, and then they've got a full squad, and that squad is the best in the league by a country mile. I think Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, Man City, and another for the semi-finals.
Yeah. Sedge? Your beloved Spurs.
Tough
away
game, isn't
to
it?
Juventus tonight.
Tough game, but they're playing well.
Lowy shaking his head there.
Do you know what?
Call it, Steve. Call it. Right, bang on.
Be happy of a draw.
Draw?
Take a 1-1.
How do you see it going?
Yeah, I think Man City are bad as well. I think that without Sane coming back and Jesus, I still think they'll get a result. Spurs, I agree with Sedge. I think they'll be happy with a draw.
Yeah.
I
think that'll be a
fancy
good
I
result
fancy him to
to
beat
bring
him.
them back
I
to
fancy
Wembley.
beating him at Wembley. I think.
they're playing
I think the good thing is Juventus, as good as they are, I think they've won 19 of 21 Champions League games, and the 2 games they lost were in the final. So it shows you how good they are.
Is Buffon still playing?
But obviously Dembala's not playing, which is a massive
He's a big
miss for
player
them.
for them,
Big
massive
play for
player,
them.
yeah.
So if there's ever a good time to get Juventus,
Will be now.
is now. So they've got to take advantage, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So it all really boils on today's result.
What do you reckon, Rick?
I'm gonna say there's a lot of goals coming, and I'm gonna say
Game of 2 halves. Right?
three. I'm gonna go 3-2 Spurs.
Oh, Rick, that's a great one. I
Tell
like
you
that.
that must be
Always-
about
always
35
been
to
my
1. that,
favourite.
Rick.
Wow.
That's a good bet, isn't it?
That's a
We
great
get
bet.
it on here in the casino.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
get that
I'm
there.
gonna go and have it on.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. And with that said, we're going to wrap it up early. Go on, Joe.
Where's
Get ready
Ash?
for the game.
Where's Ash?
No, we're not. No.
Where's Ash?
We're just Ash.
Yeah, where is he?
He's on Talk Radio, obviously. We're allowed out to
I
play.
was not allowed out tonight.
What's he doing? What do you mean he's on Talk Radio? He
on
should
Talk
be here.
Radio,
He
I know,
does
it's
it.
just
I thought I saw him by the station again.
That was another guy.
I'm sure I'll give him a fiver. I'm sure I'll give him a fiver.
He was. But no, obviously, thanks for our hosts here at the Golden Horseshoe.
Yep.
There's a couple of little promotions they're doing. Obviously, all the football games, they do a beer, a burger,
Yeah.
and a bet for a tenner.
Yeah.
So any games, come down and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And
What about dessert?
depends if Nicky's about.
We're going to negotiate that.
Dessert?
But yeah, so if you sign up online, you get a free £20 bet and a drink.
I'll look at some of
So
that.
20 quid for nothing.
If
So
you get down here lively, I'll give you a
they do
cuddle.
rose
and
and
all.
wine?
I'll give you a cuddle. What do you want for a tenner?
Yeah, so no, good. But we'll get it on our Twitter page and we'll have a look.
Okay.
Brilliant. Steve Lomas, Steve Sedgley, thank you very much.
Good to see you, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Nice one. Cheers.